Welcome to Ability MKE Now on River West Radio. This is Sue Roskopf, and we are thrilled to be with you this evening. With me, as usual, we have my co-host Kurt Roskopf, and we are joined by Emily Golmer and Patty, a friend of our show here. And we've got some fun things to get into this evening, some updates and whatnot, and some news to share. Ability MKE Now, we are a show that is all about integration. We're bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, right? And here at Ability MKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities, showcasing and sharing a variety of aspects of ability-related topics. And the concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities, right? We can be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, deafness, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goal of substance use reduction. There's a wide range of topics that we could be talking about, right? So with that, we here at Ability MKE Now strive to dive in and break down barriers, do what we can to connect and make and celebrate those differences of abilities, to celebrate them and highlight where we can. So one thing that I know we have done in the past, or actually this past week, we introduced a friend of our show, Patty, who has a very unique situation surrounding her right now. And actually, I'm going to bring Kurt in to say hello and to give us some updates on some background and updates on what's all been happening with Patty. So Kurt, can you hop on in here? I'd love to have you say hello.
All right. Hello. So Sue, I just want to give a little note here as we're going along here that the start of this did not get captured. That we would. All right. So with Ability MKE Now, this is a process of conversation, talk radio for, life in Milwaukee, lifestyle development, and the ideas of quality of life. And when people around the world are talking about helping each other be at the best versions or the best version of ourselves, there's a lot of self-identity in that, self-efficacy. In disability advocacy, they bring us the mantra of self-determination. And so there's a lot to really think about where we are with humanity and what's humane, and how do we in southeastern Wisconsin, Milwaukee metropolitan area, how are we doing that in our population for all parts of our life, whether we talk about our faith lives, our faith spaces, our opportunities to volunteer, all the great nonprofits that we have here in the Milwaukee area, and all of our educational opportunities, the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee and Marquette, and, all of our schools, the Milwaukee School District, and so on and so forth. You just go through it all, our business community with the chamber and all the professional networking going on in the area, and all the fun things we do in life, hobbies, pastime, leisure activity, travel outside of the area, travelers coming in, just such exciting stuff happening in the many counties around us. And, we're capturing, the River West culture from out of the River West radio, radio station. And, so now when we cover the areas of disability, whether it's people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, the deaf community, blind community, people with physical disabilities, my Schertel relative, Jory Przynski, who founded Hope and Still, the Oasis for people experiencing chronic pain, and those that have a goal of substance use reduction, and then we definitely give a lot of credence to how the realm of mental health has really shown itself, really making it obvious 20 years ago and prior, all the work being done to really heighten that populations and authorities and bureaucracies, that this whole thing of mental health has been brought more and more into the forefront. And then we put that over COVID, and then it's very obvious that mental health became even more of an emphasis, through the pandemic. And, so as we lace this all together and figure out, how this can drill down to really make a difference for a person, how society and how our systems are ready or not, because people are going through their stories, in terms of their mental health journey and dealing with a mental health diagnosis, and this idea of pharmacology, pharmaceuticals, the United States of America being drugged up more than we need to be, overdoing it, reaching to, the Walgreens or whoever is out there. It's great that it's all out there, but it's not hard to find journalism and other reports and other advocacy that we clearly are overboard. It's a problem in America, opioid crisis, so on and so forth. We have to really look at this and look at who the perpetrators are. So what we have here is we have our guest Patty, who has Emily and I working hard to really, be that outreach, to be that friend, to be that support network, to help her get through this. So what we have is, Patty in the last couple months has accumulated a list of over 40 professionals, connecting us to over 40 organizations, agencies, nonprofits, whatever it may be. And then all of the different nuances within that, red tape, and, just people doing their jobs. And, you get 40 different opinions about the same synopsis, so we just got done going through an email process, with, a medical board. So we're reaching out to the medical board to say, what really gives in this? What is proper? What is the state of affairs in America in serving mental health, and appreciating that we're heightening the awareness. There's more activities, more events, a lot of activities, and more funding, more resources on mental health are being funded. So we just got a lot going on, which is great, because it is something of great magnitude. The greatest healthcare crisis known to humankind, and for sure to those of us here in the Milwaukee area, is the issue of social isolation. So we have that with our friends that have come through Ability MKE Now, talking about sitting at home and wanting to get out and do more. And, Sue has been on here sharing the passion about water skiing and our family's passion, which grew out to hundreds of people joining us to make it official with thousands, that it's a thing that everybody skis in the state of Wisconsin, folks. I mean, it's just a fact. And it started right out of Milwaukee and spread like wildfire, all across the state. And, building off of great programs like out of Twin Lakes and, so on and so forth. So we're at a point here with what Patty is going through to say it's a real test, and it's a real testimony that, we need to set the bar. We need to really examine what public opinion is. So everybody who's hearing this story can really check in and like or dislike, compare, contrast, really feel what I'm saying, or really thinking I'm a little, biased to one side or another. But it's important for us to weigh in. And the reason is that this is really changing people's lives. So imagine saying, being around in June and life is going away. And then you get into July and then life is going away. And then all of a sudden, police show up at your door. And it's like, okay, what's propagating this? So just think of all the roommates around Milwaukee. So imagine being a roommate and your roommate is needing to vent, let off a little steam. And then because of that, you're like, holy smokes, my roommate is just really, really letting out here. And like, to the point of, I'm going to do something about this. And then what is the roommate going to do? Go ahead and reach out to law that says, what can be done is you can put in a complaint to say that this person ought not have an option to speak for themselves. They have no choice, taken into custody and basically enslaved to the system. And then what happens is to put this all together, to package it, to label a person severely mentally ill. Could you imagine that, just going about your life? Everything is like great, or you're building from something that you really feel like this is the life I have. And then all of a sudden, zing, bang, boom, your roommate kind of gets a little, something under their craw and just decides to like reach for the system and like, let's just throw the book at this person. My roommate is just really going to lead a different life now because I just don't want this. Letting off steam is just not something that should be legal. So here this ensues a process where psychiatrists get involved. And so imagine being a person of sound mind and body, and you're just ready to build your life and you're providing services to others, and that's how you get a little income. And then all of a sudden it's all arrested when the police show up, and now you're forced to take medicine that the law is actually written that if the judge wants to do anything, the only thing the judge can do is to prescribe meds. Now, is that insane, Milwaukee? I propose it can be put to the record. Kurt Roskopf says, yeah, that's insane that we have laws that say the only recourse a judge can take is to go ahead and force that person to take meds. Now, it's good they are given that option. Don't get me wrong. But when a judge is tempted to say, I got to show I'm doing something, the only thing I can do is to prescribe meds, and now to misplace that intervention to put somebody on meds. So now you're at an impasse. Court ordered meds. And so you're forced, when you shouldn't be, to go ahead and put those things down your gullet. And anytime you do that, that's going to be coming through your veins. It affects your cells, folks. Synthetic drugs being pumped into our system. Let's examine the state of Milwaukee and Wisconsin and the Midwest and the United States of America being a first world country. I hope this is captivating, folks, because we have a problem. We have Patty here who says you can look at it as an individual and woe is the individual, but no, it's woe is the United States of America, woe is Milwaukee, woe is Wisconsin. We have to check in on our identity and say, what are we going to do? Because I'll tell you what, Kurt Roskopf does not want the Waukesha County Sheriff showing up at his door saying, you know what? You don't have a choice, Kurt Roskopf. You're going to do what we say, whether you like it or not. You're going to go to a psychiatric hospital. You're going to transfer around to different clinics. We're going to run you through the ringer, and you don't have a choice. So, Patty, you want to come on here a little bit and share with Milwaukee and everybody that reaches out to SoundCloud and catches this? You want to share a little bit about this disruption to your life and kind of thinking about how we're in this for advocacy and there needs to be systems change and that we need to hold professionals accountable, that they do what's right for patients and stop looking at people as dollar signs. So, Patty, what's your vantage point with this?
You're right on about all of this. I will add that the psychiatrist who was court ordered and is being court ordered to see me, I had a discussion with him yesterday, and in the discussion, he has written down in a report that it's unspecified the reason why I was in the psych units. It's unspecified. Doesn't even know why. He admitted to me he does not know why I was sent there. And right now it's going before a judicial review. And if all goes well, I may be partly out of the system. But even with that, I still have a whole other system, a whole other part of the system to go through, because I was diagnosed as being seriously mentally ill. If you can imagine this, that you have no reason to believe that you are mentally ill, and now they're putting an additional label on it, seriously mentally ill, in which you can be in the system for a year or longer. Even with all of the judicial review going on, you can still continue to be in, all over some, I don't even know what to call it, but that you're blowing off steam.
That's right, folks. So talk about overreacting and making a mountain out of a molehill. This is it. This sounds like martial law, folks. So when you look at this, something needs to change. And it's really on the side of it where things that are available go wrong. So for sure, the lion majority of people out there in the mental health community, definitely don't want it to be, let's strip the system away from all this. Let's not take it away from the judge to say, that they can court order medications, because obviously it's there because there's many, many cases where that's the way to go. But we have to look at when it's misapplied, it's serious business, folks. We're enslaving people. We're affecting their life longevity. There's medical ramifications. Drugs have side effects, right, folks? So we got to take this seriously. And so in this process, you have to work hard to get allies, people who kind of get a little closer to the truth with you and can kind of start to unwind this ball of a mess that gets handed to someone like Patty when she never asked for this. Like, it's just bizarre that, when I look at the court system, you typically take the approach that if you can handle stuff out of court, you do everything you can to not need to show up and have a judge involved. So it just calls the question of, are we just leveraging resources for the sake of leveraging resources and then upping our numbers to, like, say you put one more on the ticker bar to say, the stats just went up one more, and then that's going to help funding because now we got this next person in the system. So with that, Sue, what's next? That's basically the crux of today's update on this mental health crisis.
I appreciate the update. I can't believe what's all happened, and I'm glad you guys are making at least some progress. It's going to be a slow, long road to get through everything, because for things to have gotten to the point that it had, and then to try to, like you're saying, to unwind that ball, it's going to take some time, and you're getting there. And I can only hope that it goes quickly, and wouldn't hope that on anybody, right? This is a I hope an amazingly unusual situation. I hope there's not other people going through this type of thing, but you got to believe that along the way, how many other times has this happened? It's a scary thing. So yeah, the whole concept of mental health and how we all play into that, it's an important topic, and I'm glad you guys are tackling things here. So we wish you all the best on that. Oh, you're very welcome. And so here with Ability MKE Now, just to tap into a few other updates that we have. One thing I want to make sure that is on the radar is ACAP. I know it's an organization we've spoken of before. They're out of Waukesha County. It's Adaptive Community Approach Program. ACAP is an organization that does day programs for adults, and they have a milestone coming up that I just want to emphasize here. They are celebrating 40 years. So 40 years of of what they do and what they're so good at doing. I'm just going to read a little blurb off of their website. They have a celebration event coming up very soon. So for 40 years, ACAP has steadfastly served adults with disabilities and encouraged them to achieve their highest potential and to acquire lifelong skills that will enable them to become contributing and valued members within their communities. And they, with that, are celebrating all their accomplishments with an anniversary gala this fall. So that's coming up on September 25th, 2022. It's a Sunday event from 4 until 7 out at the Ingleside Hotel in Pewaukee. The gala will feature a historical video and a playmakers performance and will honor their founder, Carol Ann Kay. ACAP encourages all past and present members, families, and friends to celebrate with us. More information is available on their website, which is acap-waukesha.org. So acap-waukesha.org. And they're an organization that is near and dear to our hearts. Kurt has been serving on their board of directors for a while now, for a few years. And this is the same organization that got us our first introduction to adaptive water skiing, actually. Oh gosh, what did we figure it is, like 35-ish years ago? So we were one of their early programs in their early days, is that the connection between ACAP and our Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club. So they're very special to us. It's a wonderful group, wonderful organization, and so happy for what they do and to hit a milestone of 40 years that they've been doing what they do. I'm thrilled for the whole group and look forward to what the next 40 years all has to come. So, and Kurt, if you want to take just a moment, if you wanted to add any reflections, because obviously you've had a much deeper impact and experience with the group than what I've had. And I think they've impacted me quite a bit. And I know you've had much more experience than I have and more interaction. So do you have a couple thoughts to share with them as well?
Sure. I can share that in essence, when you look at 40 years and what it's built up in, the resources and the financial outlook and, even investing that's being done to help protect the future of this service. And you look at the government dollars that actually, fortunately, are there to help make this available to members with disabilities like this. When you all wrap it up, it's about $1 million that you're keeping track of in terms of appreciation, depreciation, and just these numbers flying back and forth and like what it is, as a snapshot of kind of what, as on the executive level and legally, and kind of what you're reporting around and the donations. About $1 million goes around to make this all happen. And it's all about inclusion into the community. So the inspiration 4 decades ago was to say, when we look at the city and county of Waukesha, it's basically people from a faith community with a family member with a disability and otherwise, just really inspiring about Carol Ann Kay to say, I've said it many times with other topics, like the Festivus thing with Frank Costanza saying there's got to be a better way. It was one of these moments to say that the community really could be more user-friendly for people with disabilities. And that's what it's set out to be. And there's advocacy programs and, just so many opportunities in the programming, whether it's gardening or different arts and crafts, just really empowering adults with disabilities in the area to get a little closer to what a lot of other people are doing, that without a program like ACAP, they wouldn't have the opportunity. And Sue and I appreciate that because we got right in there to the ripe, raw aspects of, if the Roskopf family didn't do what we did, there'd be a lot of people that didn't get the opportunity to water ski, like including that ACAP, before we got involved with the Lindsay program, we weren't going down to Browns Lake in Burlington to get that extra opportunity, so it really is, an opportunity for people to check in and to say, how am I doing at my church for people with disabilities? How am I doing in my Kiwanis organization that people with disabilities can be a member of the Kiwanis Club? Not just say the Kiwanis do great things for people with disabilities. The people with disabilities are doing stuff for their community as a member. Now that's empowerment and that's opportunity. And then accommodations and education. Think about every time you sit down for personal professional development, ask yourself, how does this work for somebody doing this who is blind? How is this going to work for somebody who's deaf? How about somebody with a physical disability? How about somebody who has an intellectual developmental disabilities? How does it work? How does it work for the disability community? And by the terms of people with disabilities. So the job's not done until you ask the person with a disability. And that's what the members of ACAP are available for. These are the people that taught Sue and I. Back to you, Sue.
Yeah, it is something that once you start thinking more and more about those aspects, like when you go to a building, if you go to a restaurant, is there an entrance that would accommodate somebody with a physical disability? Can a wheelchair get in the building? When you are out and about around Milwaukee, if you see that kind of thing, does it even click in your mind that that's a problem? Until you really have a reason to think about it, and until you yourself have a reason personally to think about it, we often just go about our daily lives and ignore those aspects because it doesn't mean anything to me. So why should I pay attention? Well, we've often said the term TAB, temporarily able-bodied. We all are at some point in our life going to have to encounter needing some kind of accessibility, something to help us with our accessibility. For a short time this summer, I was even on crutches because of a sprained ankle. Not that big a deal, right? Until suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, what a pain it is to have to hobble around on something like crutches. Well, take it to the next step. What if I was in a wheelchair? How am I getting from point A to point B when, yesterday I was able to walk it just fine. Well, and today now I can't. What does that do to change your perspective? So if you haven't had that moment in your life where you've had to say, wow, I didn't even notice. I didn't think about this. I know there's plenty of buildings that are old enough in the area that don't have wheelchair ramps or elevators or whatever it takes to get people to, again, from point A to point B. Just as an example, that until you have a reason to think about it, you don't. Well, we're here to help bring that to light and help people to have an excuse to have that thought in their heads. So I appreciate what all of, again, back to ACAP, what that whole original interaction in my world, without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. I never would have been even on the radio right now with this. Why would I be here? Until you have that thought and get the passion behind it to know that there's something better, there's a better way. If we get our minds together and our hearts together and really move forward on things as a collectiveness, that will make a difference. One by one, the more people that understand, the more people that know a difference is needed, the more we are enlightening each other along the way, the more of an impact we'll make. So we need to think about that and to help each other out as much as we can. So again, my name is Sue Roskopf. For Kurt Roskopf, Emily, Patty, for all of us here with Ability MKE Now, we're so glad to be able to do what we do and hope that it brings fun and different thoughts to you as well. Thank you.
do, I think that's a really big deal. I think that's very valuable. And when I realized that type of impact, it started tugging on my heartstrings. And I said, "Oh my God, this is huge." And as I started helping people, and when I started building solutions for people, and I saw the actual numbers start popping up, and I saw their dreams come alive. I saw their futures. And it's like, oh wow. In fact, I remember one of the first ones I did, I was looking at the numbers, a good friend of mine, and I realized I was building his future. I was creating his dream. And when I realized that, I almost got a little bit emotional, because it's like, oh my God, I just helped this guy for the next 30 years of his life. And I don't know many industries that you can do that you can have that type of impact. And then, if he ever decides to have kids, he'll teach his kids too. And then they'll teach their kids. And then everybody benefits. And I've always had a saying, 200 years from now, when I'm dust and bones, they're still going to be benefiting from what I taught them. And that, to me, when I think of why we become entrepreneurs, I think of, well, we become entrepreneurs for impact, become entrepreneurs for serving from the heart. We become entrepreneurs for helping people and making an impact in our communities, in our towns, in our states, in the country. We do it for a bigger reason than just money. Money is very secondary to me. In fact, I honestly don't even think about it. I think of, what's the impact I can have? How can I help this person? How can I make the difference in their lives that will benefit them for decades from now? How can I do that? And in fact, there's a quote, Kurt, you might know this. It's a Zig Ziglar quote. And it goes, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. And that, to me, always, in fact, I heard that quote, God, about a couple of years ago, and it always stuck with me. It's like, oh, you know what? That is right. That does make sense. So it really jump-started me in thinking about, well, how can I help and serve people the best? How can I, do the most for people? How can I be that beacon, that guiding light, that compass for people that might feel a little lost? They might not know what to do about their finances. Let's talk about that. Let's give you a financial needs analysis. Let's see where your numbers are actually at. And then you tell me what your hopes and dreams are. Tell me what you want to do 10, 20, 30 years from now. Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to get kids' education? When do you want to retire? How much do you want to retire on? Let me see if I can help get you there. I got some ideas. Really be able to say, hey, I want to offer you a solution to what you're going through right now. And that'll also serve you later. Not just like an immediate one shot, here you go. But I want to offer people hope. I really want people to understand that, hey, you don't have to go this whole journey alone. At the end of the day, money is just a tool, but we're not taught how to use it. I remember in my math class, my personal finance class, I was taught how to write a check. I've done that about 9 times. I don't even have checks. And I realized I didn't learn how to balance a checkbook. I didn't learn what compound interest was. I didn't learn what the rule of 72 was. In fact, I learned that fairly recently. And when you realize all that you don't know, it's kind of eye-opening and also kind of terrifying, because like, oh man, what do I do? That's okay. That's what I want to help you with. I want to help you understand the basics of finance. I could give you the copy of that book. Explains everything about basics of finance in 5th grade English. It even has pictures in it. It'll capture my attention. I have a really short attention span. It'll capture my attention. I want everybody to have that. I wish that book was in middle schools everywhere. I don't know about you, Kurt, but when I was 12, 13, 14, I was making money. I was spending it the second I had it, but I made it. Granted, I bought old coins and silver dollars and what, so I did good with it. But most people that have a job of that age, mow a lawn for $20. What are you gonna do with the $20? You're gonna go to the candy store? What are you gonna do with that? Get them thinking early about that type of stuff. Oh man, I made $20. I'll put that in the savings account. Well, back when savings account actually gave you interest. Invest that, put that into something. Don't just go to the candy store and eat the money away. Like, granted, I've done that a couple of times, but think about it early. When you turn 18 or 19, you're going into the world with a different mindset. You're going into the world with a different understanding of money. And when you have that little edge of knowing how it works, knowing what you can do with it, and knowing how you can have it work for you, that's a big deal, because you're empowered. you can make really good decisions. And later on in life, you are going to be so glad you did. You might even want to become an entrepreneur because of it. That's what I'm doing. I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm a business owner. I want to have that impact. I want to have other people teach what I teach. I want to nurture and mentor and help people learn this type of stuff so they can teach other people this type of stuff, and they can enrich themselves in the process. They can make that massive impact. That's what I want for the world. I mean, unfortunately, I can only do business in the United States, but at the very least, the message can get out there further, because I want everybody to know what we're not taught, because the 1% know this stuff already. I want to teach the 99% what the 1% know. There's not a secret handshake, I'll tell you that much. It's a lot simpler, and it might surprise you. That book holds a lot of it. And yeah, I'm a nerd for numbers. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I'm a total nerd for numbers. But, at the end of the day, it's all about the impact. It's all about, how can I help this person? How can I help this family? How can I help this business owner? How can I, make that impact? And I know, Kurt, you're really big on impact. You're really big on serving others, serving the community, which I really, really respect. I really, really appreciate. And, in a way, we have that commonality, which I've always thought was really cool. And, the gratitude that we get from serving others, I think, is the most powerful feeling in the world. Knowing what we can do with our talents, with our passion, with our energy of, hey, let's make a difference, leave that lasting impact and say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is how we help people. And it's a big deal. And I wish, and I don't know if maybe COVID, if people just kind of lost a little bit of their inner fire or not, but it's like, hey, you still got that inner fire, that can't go out, right? Like, let's fire that back. Let's fire that up, and let's throw some passion back into life, because why not? Life's too short not to.
That's exactly right. Life is too short not to. A question I have for you is, do you personally, in what you're doing in helping us, there's financial planning to really look at retirement and to really have that money there and realize your challenges, depending on what life you want to live in retirement years. But what about, I know there's life insurance and so forth, but what about the aspect of heirs and wills? And like you mentioned, when, you're dust and bones, do you get into, that part of like the final, financial plan? Like, how does this affect your heirs?
I haven't really yet, mostly because I've been concentrating so much on slightly more specific areas. Like right now, specifically, I am focusing on helping retirees, mostly because of the volatility of the market and inflation being ridiculous. I want to make sure that, don't mind my cat. I want to make sure that the retirement accounts are not losing money. I want to make sure that if they have it just stuck in a bank, that they're not losing, purchasing power to inflation. So I kind of right now have a bit of a focus area that I'm working on, because I want to make sure everybody's retirement's secured. And honestly, I live in a retirement town, so I kind of want to make sure all my friends and whatnot are good to go, and to secure that wealth so they don't lose it. That's a big focus of mine right now. But I also really love helping young families, because I want them to see the future that's possible. I want them to see what is doable for them, especially if they start early. Or even some friends I have that are in their late 20s. I think, hey, look what's possible now. If you're 28, look what you can do over these years. You can utilize the time value of money. You can utilize compound interest. Now check this out. This is what's possible for you, because you start out young versus you start out with my age or later. You have more and more time to have your wealth grow. So really bringing that aspect into it is also very important, because I don't think the younger generations know as much as they could. And I feel that it's so valuable and it's not taught. So I worry, where are they getting their understanding of money, and what is their relationship to money? How do they view it? How do they use it? How do they see themselves growing it? How do they see themselves planning for the future? Do they want children? Do they want to be a cat dad like me? What do they want to do in life? Really dig into not just the brass tacks of it, not just the finance, not just the numbers, but their vision for themselves, what they want in life, where they want to go, what they want to do. The deeper questions, not just, hey, how much money do you want to make a month? How much money do you want to save a month? More than that, because those numbers are easy to figure out. But it's the bigger stuff. I want people to think about their lives, what they want, where they want to go. And at the end of the day, as the old saying goes, money makes the world go round. I want people to have a more conscious view of it. I want people to have more of an understanding. Don't view it as some sort of evil mechanism. Rather, it's just a tool that everybody can use equally. Everybody gets a dollar is a dollar is a dollar. Whether you hold it, I hold it, or Elon Musk holds it, it's still a dollar. It's not going to get more valuable just because somebody richer holds it. It's the same dollar.
That's for sure. That's for sure. At one part of your story here, you talked about how you were earning money at 12 years old. And so on my side of it, I happen to have that opportunity as well. My father happened to, quite a bit by accident. He ended up buying a golf course, Rudy. Can you imagine buying a golf course by accident?
A golf course.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
So basically the idea is my dad used to be he was in sales of turf equipment, so basically he would have golf courses as a customer, and the golf course he ended up buying actually wasn't paying the bill on the equipment. Could you imagine having commercial lawnmower equipment at a golf course and it's not paid for? So he went up to collect on there. Well, what he found out, Rudy, is the golf course was under bankruptcy. So he went to the bank, and what the president of the bank ended up doing in that conversation was looking at my dad and saying, my dad's name was Red. And so he looked at my dad and said, Red, I don't want this golf course. You should, we're putting it up for auction. You should put a bid on it. And so my dad wrote down a number that he thought was ridiculous, that these guys for sure would be able to sell it for a higher price than that. But lo and behold, they didn't. They couldn't, apparently. And so the president of the bank, December 1983, is calling up my dad and saying, Red Roskopf, you are the proud new owner of Camelot Country Club in Myra, Wisconsin. So,
wow.
From that point on, you had to figure out what to do. And my great uncle, he was a banker. And he actually told my dad that, wow, he just got himself a real problem, because my great uncle was speculating that was not a good investment and just not really the best next steps. So he legitimately got my father pretty worked up and got my dad nervous about this new position he was in his life.
Right.
Because to make it all happen, I ended up running a second mortgage on our house, and all that kind of stuff was going on. Like,
yikes.
Like all the chips were on the table now.
Oh, man.
So it became that day a family business. And so basically, January 1st, 1984, on New Year's Day, the Globetrotters traditionally come and perform here in Milwaukee. So he took us as family out to the Globetrotters game, and that's where he announced it to us. So through the holidays, he didn't say anything to us, and we learned what happened at the Globetrotters game. And then kind of saying, all right, this year, 1984, the Roskopfs have to turn it on and make an enterprise out of this thing. We're committed. So we had to go out there and knock down a bunch of tall grass. I mean, just, grossly under manicured golf course. But that was quite an experience at 12 years old to come into the golf business. And so yeah, what an opportunity that provided. 1997, he sold the golf course. And my father was involved in Lions International. So he had is called the BOLD program, Blind Outdoor Leisure Development Program, out there a handful of times. So we had some golfers who are blind golf at Camelot Country Club in Lemira, Wisconsin.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So
And here I was just selling flowers. You're working golf courses. That's awesome.
Right?
Love that.
But yeah, we needed our flowers. I planted a lot of flowers in the gardens and whatever.
You should have called me. I would have hooked you up. I would have given you a bulk deal on that. And give me some lead time, but hey, we'll set you up.
Yeah, well, we're still connected in the golf industry. We can still.
That's awesome. Very,
so we're
very
being joined here by Barbara. Barbara is one of our panelists. She's been on a ton of our World of Ability podcasts. She's always doing something different on a Saturday at 3:30 in the afternoon. But Barbara, I want to check in. If you did want to come unmuted, feel free. If you're more there to listen, obviously, if you're on one of your days you're just listening, that's fine. Otherwise, if you want to add some color commentary, the mic is yours. What are you thinking, Barbara?
Oh, I'm thinking the challenge I was given by the surgeon to make sure that I walk 3 miles a day. And right now, 3 miles seems like such a long way. But I'm hoping it will get easier and easier to do that. I just came back from walking 3 miles. And yeah, and I'm falling asleep. It was like a big challenge for me, but I'm hoping that I'll keep on trying to do it, and it's going to become easier and easier. And I'll find, I'm getting physical benefits by doing that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good idea for all of us to work on that 3 mile journey, and even thinking of walking 3 miles in Barbara's shoes, that would be something. So, but yeah, that became something with COVID starting 2020. Basically June that year, we got a dog. Basically my daughter got a dog by my wife's permission, and then they told me we now have a dog as of June of 2020. And so now we're looking at taking care of this dog. And I see this dog as being very active. And I don't know if it's the breed or whatever, but I just looked at our dog and it's like, this is not a dog you want to have sitting there, day in and day out. You got to get this dog out there. So that's actually what we came up with, was 3 miles for our dog Minnie, to get her out there through, like a mile and a half away from home and then a mile and a half back. So like a 3 mile round trip to, a 3 mile walk takes some time. We all know the time it takes to do 3 miles. Well, my daughter doesn't have the patience for that. So what she conjured up is that we hop on our bikes and we pedal 3 miles, and then our dog has to run 3 miles.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Smart.
That's a long run, for a dog, to get a small dog. She's a smaller size, fair size, so that's kind of what we got going here. But yeah, I've noticed how good that was for us as a family to have this dog, get motivated to go the 3 miles, and what that's done for us to make sure that we don't get too lax in attending to our health. Kind of like how people can get lax about attending to their financial fitness, right, Rudy?
Oh yeah. Well, I was great at making money, like especially in my 20s, but then I was also really, really good at spending it. Like I was really good at it. I was like, oh, I got money, I'm gonna buy something. But on the subject of pets, I'm now a cat dad of 5. I have this little child right here. She's amazing and a little firecracker. She yells at everyone. I just brought her home. I'm like, Mom, I have another cat. Check it out. She's like, oh, like I do that a lot. I I'm a little bit impulsive with. I see a cute little cat on Facebook. I'm like, oh, free cat. I'll bring it home. So total cat dad over here. But yeah, I really believe that, especially if we don't talk about it, finances could just kind of fall by the wayside. We don't really think. If we don't talk about it, it just kind of falls into our subconscious, and it's just, we don't really realize some of the decisions we're making. And I think that with the education piece, with seeing the bigger picture, that is so eye-opening to a lot of people. And they realize, oh, this dream is possible with this type of solution, with this type of savings. Or, oh, I can actually retire. Yes, you can. Here's how that works. Check that out. Or hey, you want to set up something great for your kids. You're 35. Let's talk about that. All of these. I think it's really eye-opening more than anything else when people have a better understanding of what money can do. Because I think it's very one-dimensional, people's thoughts of money. It's more than that. It's so much more than that. And I think it's one of the most gratifying things is to be able to open people's eyes and helping them really truly see the big picture of money, of finance, of understanding how it all works. Because then they feel empowered. They can make the good decisions. At the end of the day, they're happy. They can live life without worry. And also, if you don't worry, it's healthier for your mind, body, and soul. So they might just live a little longer on top of that, because stress is extremely damaging to oneself. So, it's one less thing they have to worry about in life.
That's right. That's right. So, Barbara, how is retirement life treating you today, other than the 3-mile walk in your post-surgery situation? So,
Yeah, I would love to learn what our guest is talking about money, because I had some money and immediately it just went. It went with a car getting totaled. It went with the apartment getting full of mold and having to be totally renovated. It went with a contractor taking our money and taking off and having to pay for the same stuff twice. And yeah, it's kind of scary right now because I don't I have very limited income, and I'm running, I've run out of money that I was given. So yeah, I'd like to I'd love to be financially secure. I'd love to know how to do that.
Yeah, so we definitely will have to have some post-production time with Rudy. He is somebody we met through the Happy Neighborhood Project. So he's got on his screen here helping you on your financial journey. He shares a book from his organization called How Money Works. And so Rudy would be, he'd be more than happy to do a follow-up with you, Barbara, and, have you enjoy what he's passionate about. What do you think about that, Barbara?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That would be great.
I'm back. So sorry about that. Today's been a little bit chaotic. That's all good.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, we all got our things going today. Marianne was already on here and off Barbara. So it's just one of those type of shows where it's more like an open house. And now we're going to go bananas with the king of bananas.
Nicholas!
So Nick is muted. He just got on here. He's getting settled in. So Nick, you are on mute yet. But Rudy, we got you on a side.
Hey, there we go.
Hey, Nick. So Rudy, we got Barbara is asking for a follow-up with you because she's very intrigued by your passion for helping people in their financial journey. And she was describing while you stepped away a little bit of a disruption that she has. So she actually does have a little tension, about getting your money matters a little bit more stabilized. And
definitely, we could talk about that.
Yeah, the predictability of all that. So Nick, you come in bunches with all your bananas. Thanks for sharing a little your Saturday with us. How are you doing?
For sure. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Real good, real good. Well, give us a little snapshot. What's going on for you on a Saturday? What are we taking you away from? And what's the story of Nick Davis on a Saturday, September 10th?
Right on, dude. Yeah, so right now I'm just kind of hanging out, had some lunch and stuff like that. Went to go get the oil changed, and I was like, all right, cool. It should be done about now-ish. And I was like, okay. And I was like, running out of time. I was like, okay, cool. Go to a slower, so I hopped over to a quieter location and popped on a headset, and here I am, basically. All right. And then later on tonight, I'm going to go dancing, going to have some fun, Definitely fun.
All right. Barbara, you're one of those that likes to dance, right?
Oh, I love left you. Right now I'm trying to walk. I walk with a walker 3 miles a day, trying to get back to where I can walk again and drive again. That's my challenge.
Now, what you got to do is you got to take that walker, squeeze it really hard, and then lift up that ankle, even if it's only a millimeter. Just enough. Okay, it's off the ground. Give it a little shake, and then lean over, lift it up, give it a little shake, and then continue on and say, "There I am. That was my dance for the day."
There you go.
You got to go with what you got. Take what you can get. No giving up here. So Nick, we were talking to Rudy a little bit. You know Rudy, right? You two know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he was talking about how he's helping people on their financial journey, so on and so forth. And Barbara's talking about how she's in retirement and there's stuff going on in where she lives and different stuff like that. A little disruption in life, but you want to go into a little bit about kind of bit about your services, kind of your trek in the health insurance industry, and your branding of Reclaim Your Premium. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Give it to us. What do you got? How does it work?
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So, yeah, absolutely. Just like Kurt said, Nick or Nicholas, depends on how much trouble I'm in at the moment. And got a fantastic saying for you guys today. Reclaim your premium. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, man, if you don't know what you're paying for, then why are you paying for it, honestly, right? So I work in the wonderfully awesome and incredibly exhilarating world of health insurance. That crowd goes by. Man, you got to have fun. Somebody's got to have fun with this stuff, right? So basically, I'm one of the few people in the United States that can write a full-on health, dental, vision, and benefits PPO plan, which is a big, big, big deal, right? The reason why that's a big deal is because in the United States, about 80% of all the solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, mom and pop shops, those individuals, really all they have access to are two different kinds of plans, HMOs or EPOs, right? So that's a health maintenance organization or exclusive provider organization, right? The crazy thing about those is they only work in the state you live in, which is totally nuts, right? I mean, some would say it's bananas. Anyway, I just had to throw that in. My jokes get worse the older I get. But primarily, the reason why I work with these PPO plans is because you get to choose your hospital. You can pick your doctor. You can go anywhere in the continental United States. That's a big, big, big deal. That's kind of like the same kind of coverage we all used to have when we were W-2 working for somebody else, right? So really, it's the power of choice is a big, big deal. And the reason why it's, RYP or hashtag Reclaim Your Premium, reclaimyourpremium.com, stuff like that, is because, I mean, all of it, there's a lot of individuals out there that are just, blindly paying money, just boom, 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 every single month. Might not know specifically what they're paying for, or if it's even going to work when they want it to work, but they're just doing it just to check off a box, right? And so the idea is, take back some of that money that you've been spending on things that, you might not know if it's going to work or not, and put it towards something that's actually custom tailored for your needs, that's heaven forbid going to work when you need it to, and 3, that you can actually use, which is fantastic, right? And heaven forbid, might actually save you a little bit of money down the process, might not, but you're going to get better access, better treatment, better coverage, and freedom of choice, which is a big, big deal, right? So anyway, that's me in a nutshell, or a Zoom box, either way you want to square it. So go ahead and close the same. My name is Nick Davis. Reclaim your premium. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
There you go. We needed that. A little whoop, whoop, whoop is good for podcasting, right?
Yeah, yo.
Right? So Nick, as you described that, our thoughts gravitate a lot to, our income generating years, and up to retirement basically. But can you pick up on that? Like how is your company and how are you serving your, what are the limitations for those who are retired? How does that look for health insurance?
Yeah, it's actually, you read my mind. I was just getting ready to talk about that. So a lot of my clients actually end up being early retirees, which is kind of fun. A lot of individuals are really scared to retire because they're like, look, I don't know if I want to retire or not, because it's just, I don't know what's going to go on with my benefits. I don't want to lose my benefits or anything like that. And so what I end up doing is I end up talking to them and I'm like, hey, look, I've got a plan for you, and which is really, really great, honestly. And so it allows them the freedom to stop working for somebody else and start living on their retirement income, which is a big, big deal, right? Because as far as clients go, I can work with clients up to 65 years of age, which is really, really great, right? And so, I mean, actually, it's really fun for a little bit of time. Some individuals were actually sending me their parents, which is kind of fun. They were like, "Hey, Nick, dad retired, and mom's 61, he's 65, so he's on Medicare. He's okay, but we're really worried about mom. Like, what are we gonna do about mom? And I was like, dude, don't worry about it. I got you. No big deal." And so I'm able to like any hospital in the United States, and they don't have to worry about it. So it's health, dental, vision benefits, which is awesome.
Good stuff. Rudy, I want you to pick up on this. You too are kind of passionate about what you can do for folks in their 60s and beyond with what Nick is talking about in terms of health insurance. First of all, your organization doesn't have a health insurance option, does it?
I do have a health license. There's a little bit I can do with that, not a ton. But honestly, my focus is more like life insurance and annuities.
Right.
That's more my thing. Mostly because that's an area I'm really comfortable with. Plus, also with what I can do with those various products and solutions could be very, very impactful. That's also an area I have more expertise in. But yeah, I mean, the big thing that I worry about is people that are in their retirement, especially if they've worked, for a long time. They've potentially made a good amount of money, and I always wonder what is their mentality as far as when they transition into retirement, when they are in retirement, what are they doing with their retirement? What are they doing with their hard-earned money? Is it sitting in a bank? Is it sitting in the stock market? Is it sitting in, where is it? What is it doing for them? Is it safe? Does it have, protection, against the downside? Does it have a way to kind of outpace inflation? Does it have, do they have it in a place where they won't outlive their money? How is their retirement serving them? Or is it just sitting under a mattress? Or is it gold bars? I really think a lot about that type of thing, because I know that, a lot of the prior generations worked really hard. I mean, my grandma worked in 2 companies her whole life. She worked for Consolidated Freightways for 20 years, and she worked for Morgan Stanley Inwood for 23. So you can't really do that anymore now, because nowadays people are jumping jobs like crazy. But if you have a pension, if you have a 401k, if you have, your retirement in a vehicle and it's not serving you, I want to say, hey, let's take a look and see if we can get you something that will serve you better. Because I really worry about that, especially with inflation being the way it is and with the market being the way it is. I want to make sure I can help people, because it's really, really hard to unretire. People had to do that in 2009. I cannot fathom what it would be like to unretire, especially if you're in your 60s and your 70s. How could you even do that? That honestly kind of scares me a little bit, because I would hate to see people have to go down that route for whatever reason that might be. And I really want to be able to be there to help the senior citizen clientele, saying, hey, it's okay. Let's make sure your retirement's secure. You worked hard for that. You worked really hard for that. Let's make sure it stays safe.
Yeah, we definitely see a lot of that senior citizens out there and, just crazy big numbers, just falling short on what they want for their lifestyle in retirement years. And they're picking up jobs. They're going, working that part-time stuff to get a paycheck coming, because they kind of want to do more stuff than the money in their bank is set up for. So we're seeing a lot of our senior citizens doing that. But Nick, you want to speak a little bit to, financial advisors and, it's reclaim your premium. So people have to pay their premiums, and, we get a lot of circumstances where paying the premium can be tough, and somebody might be tempted, whittle that down, or maybe not, maybe for a bit, they're like, I can't even pay my health premium. Do you run into that where you're helping people almost in a financial advising thing, because all of a sudden they're challenged on, the premium that you present? What is that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. I absolutely do. And honestly, it really comes down to having a solid financial plan. And if you don't have one of those, is definitely Rudy is a great guy to talk to you for that, because he can get you squared away on the financial side of the fence. On the upside, there are options available for individuals if they're like, look, I just, they're like, I can't do whatever, or if they're on like a crazy weird low income or something like that. The way the ACA works is, so the ACA is a bit of a trade, right? They're going to help you, but on the flip side of the coin, if they help you, you have to have their stuff, right? And the ACA stuff is those HMOs and EPOs that only work in the state you live in, and it lets the insurance deem what's medically necessary, right? So as long as you can play by those rules, the government will help you out. And the lower your income is to the federal poverty line determines the amount of subsidy or percentage of your policy that the government will pay for you. So you have a lower premium, right? If your income goes below that poverty line, there's like a little bit, like a couple grand below that poverty line or so. That's kind of an ish kind of water. But if you go too far below that, then you reach the Medicaid side of the fence, and Medicaid is free, right? All you have to do is apply for it, which is kind of nice. And so I've run into individuals that are like, look, Nick, I'm unemployed. I don't make any money whatsoever. I'm just trying to make ends meet back to back, da 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 da. And I'm like, hey, well, look, and they're like, look, I can't have health. I'm like, you absolutely have health insurance. It's just the degree of health insurance that a lot of people have trouble figuring out, if that makes sense, right? Once again, that's where I come to play, which is great. Advisor, my services are completely free, right? I actually more advice than anything else, to be honest with you. Between individuals that I talked for situations just as these, whether or not it's friends or family, they're like, hey Nick, I've got this policy with my work. I really don't know if it's okay or not. Can you just get over? I'm like, yeah, sure, no big deal. So I'm always specific aspect of it as well. But yeah, and everybody can get health insurance. It just depends on where you're at to the degree of health insurance that you can get, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. People who are budgeting, that's no matter what they're buying or applying their budget to, that's always the consideration. It's like anything, you get what you pay for, and sometimes you just have to make a tough choice to do with less because they have less. So Barbara, I want to check in with you. What are you thinking as Nick's bringing in the topic of health insurance, and you just went through a surgery and you're kind of rehabbing and re-inviving your life and trying to get back to that active life I used to. But how are things looking for you on the health insurance side and paying those medical bills that, are just inevitable?
Yeah, well, I got hooked up with a very good program that Obama and this Dr. Chen is Asian doctor put together called Chen Med, and there's a couple programs like that where they're really you can get free medical care and dental and vision, and they'll acknowledge your birthday, and they'll bring a sip and paint, and they'll bring free movie ticket. In one place they give you a Asian in the mornings and all that, and so you get to see in America people really are doing their best to take care of the elderly. And it's good. I'd hate to lose that. It's been such a benefit.
There you go. So that's what our show is all about here, advocating and appreciating these insights like what you just shared, Barbara, about the importance of these programs. I think the legislators out there and the policymakers, everybody administrating these programs, it's good and healthy that we as Americans share around things that are valued and vital and important and relied upon, that we share those stories so that people don't get ideas of changing it or taking things away and stuff like that. So maybe our show will play a little role in that. So right now I'm just going to do a quick little fun thing because we're going to be wrapping up the show here real quick. Let's see here. Looks like Tim Tarosian is logging on. So Tim, if you are able to unmute, feel free. If you're here just to listen, that's fine. We just got a few minutes of the show, and with the few minutes, we're going to do a little something quick. It's from that old show, A Minute to Win It. So we're just going to give everybody a minute to give a final thought, and then we're going to wrap up here. So Rudy, we're going to start with you. A minute to win it. Good luck. What's your final thought for the audience today?
Ooh, good one. I have not drank coffee in 5 months. My final thought is don't be afraid to chase your dreams. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. That's what I've done. The past 2.5 years have been a massive, crazy, insane, terrifying, wonderful, transformational journey for me. And if there's one thing I've learned, that when you put yourself out there, when you bet on yourself, when you really decide to take life by the horns and say, hey, I'm in control of my own destiny. I'm captain of my ship. I'm going to go where I want to go in life, and nothing else is going to stop me. That opens up doors you never thought existed. That's the kind of stuff that when you wake up in the morning and you think about it, you said, you know what? I'm the captain of my destiny. Let's go. That's powerful stuff. And you feel different. You feel different. You move different. You act different. You exist different when you are in that headspace. Take life by the horns.
There we go. That we shall do. We will work on that together. Tim, just in case you forgot, *6 is on your telephone. *6 can unmute you, Tim, if you are looking to come into our minute to win it conclusion here. But Nick, we'll go to you. You got a minute to win it to give your last thought for our audience.
Good. All right. So last thought for the audience. All right. So health insurance is very, very, very important. If you don't have it, you should probably get it. Right? Now, as far as like levels of access and like who can do what and so on and so forth, it's very common belief that just the average person can see everything, right? Well, however, that's not as true as it could be, right? So civilians got basically an access to about maybe 20% or so what's out there, right? Brokers can then go about maybe about 30% over that, right? And so basically brokers can sign up civilians for stuff that they don't have access to, right? Then there's people like me. Nobody knows I exist. So I network. I'm an advisor. I sit at the very tippy tip top of the pyramid so I can see everything and have access to the stuff that brokers aren't allowed access to because it requires more schooling, teaching knowledge, Long story short, get yourself an advisor, save your time, save your money, and get a plan that actually works for you in a more effective state.
Excellent. Excellent. That's one to go on. And so, Barbara, we are over to you. A minute to win it. What's your final thought for our audience today, Barbara?
I'm just seeing, walking with the walker, and I'm seeing what our friend Vargas goes through, someone in a wheelchair, and how we really have to open our eyes to each other and be willing, to help and to see and be more family to each other. It's like, and life would just become more fruitful and more colorful and more fragrant. I believe it.
All right, excellent. See how Barbara tied you in, Nicholas, to become more fruitful?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Right. We can't end this show on any better note than that. Again, thanks, Tim Tarosian, for coming on in here at this tail end. We always appreciate everything Tim is doing with the Blue Collar Crypto Show that will be on tomorrow afternoon. That is on the schedule for 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern on Sundays. Blue Collar Crypto by Tim Tarosian, who's on here just checking in on us as we finish this show. I'm yours, Kurt Roskopf. Feel free to call and text me, 262-372-1SKI. That's 262-372-1754. Ability MKE Now at gmail.com. The radio show on Wednesdays, riverwestradio.com. And Wednesdays, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, a 29-minute radio show experience that you're all welcome to be our guest. just contact me for that. Big thanks to the Disability Channel and everything done for showcasing abilities, television by and with people with disabilities and veterans, and Zach Clayton out there in Colorado with Community Pay It Forward, producing podcasts all coming together, PAC channel. And then we have Marcus Hart with Transform You Media Network. So we have quite a conglomeration, a collaboration here, and collaboration also over at the Happy Neighborhood Project. Don't forget to mark your calendars for the Global Happiness Summit, October 7th. We'll be talking about that on every show here at the World Ability Podcast. And with that, I'm yours, Kurt Roskopf, signing off till next time. Thanks for everything you do, watching our videos and shows. Please, on YouTube and Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere you see us, please react, comment, and share. Take care, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having me.